Hello and welcome to my booth here at CNS. My name is Sabine and I would very much love to use this opportunity to give you a quick walkthrough of the poster. This is the poster that I was going to present to you in Boston and is now available as a PDF here in the booth. The title is Native Language Sounds and New Foreign Words Boost Grammar Processing, ERP Evidence of Transfer and Initial Acquisition. It's a collaboration between myself, Merle and Mikael from Lund University in Sweden, as well as Yury from Aarhus University in Denmark and St. Petersburg State University in Russia. As the title suggests, we're interested in how sounds and sound structures of your own language influence how you process novel words and grammar in a new language, especially in the very beginning. What we know from second language acquisition is that it can be very fast, especially in experimental settings. We find linguistic processing of novel words and grammar after days, sometimes even hours or minutes of acquisition. However, this seems to be dependent on transfer, that is, how similar your own language is to the to-be acquired language, especially with respect to sounds. So the question we then ask is, how does this influence how grammar errors, here embedded in pictures, are processed while language rules are forming? That is, in the process of figuring out the rules and regularities of language, how do we react to inconsistencies and mismatches? And how is that influenced by phonological similarity? As for methods, we use spoken word picture association learning. Our spoken words contain pictures and tones and vowels and consonants. The tones and vowels had morphosyntactic content, gender and number, and the consonant had lexicosemantic content. They express professions. Let me give you a couple of examples. For instance, we'd have the word farb, meaning several female boxers. We could then change the consonant to sarb. We'd get several female flautists. If we change the vowel, we get several male boxers. Feep. If we change the tone, farb, we get a single female boxer. We taught this to 23 learners with a tonal L1 and 23 learners with a non-tonal L1 over the course of 2 days, with 30 repetitions of all the test word and pictures on each day. Occasionally, and this is important here, we would mismatch the words and pictures and induce errors. So for the matches, we'd have the word farb, meaning several female boxers. If we then present the same word, but with a picture of several female flautists, we get an error across the consonant dimensions, a consonant error. If we present the same word with several male boxes, we get a vowel error, and if we present the same word with a single female boxer, we'd get a tone error. These types of errors we assumed would induce either morphosyntactic or lexical error processing, and that they would do more so in the tonal learners than in the non-tonal learners because of transfer. As for analysis, we first of all tried to find out where the interesting effects were. So we looked at GRMS peaks for each group and compared their peaks with t-tests in terms of latencies. We then made up time winners based on the GRMS peaks and submitted them to cluster-based permutation analyses for each error trial compared to the non-error trials, for each error type to the non-error type. As results, we had 2 GRMS peaks in both groups, one at around 180 milliseconds and the other at 370 milliseconds. The first one we found was related to a posterior N1, and there were clear timing differences between groups. The tonal at one group had an overall delayed posterior N1 response compared to the non-tonal group. There were no differences in amplitude or timing between conditions, however. The second peak we found was related to an N400 in all conditions. There were differences in amplitude clearly within and between groups. For the tonal group, there was a significantly larger N400 for consonant, vowel, and tone errors compared to matched pictures. And for the non-tonal group, there was a larger N400 for consonant and vowel errors, but not for tone errors. We also found a significant correlation with behavioural results. The larger the N400, the faster the response times, and this was the case in vowel and tone errors, but not in consonant errors. We did not find any grammar-related ERP effects, so no ELAN, LAN, or P600. This was slightly surprising because we saw when we analyzed the words that the pictures had installed grammatical processing in the words. So the participants were well aware of the grammatical properties and content of the words. However, they still processed them lexicosemantically, of course. I forgot to show you the ERPs. Here are the ERPs at electrode P1 and related subtraction topographies. The first topography is the consonant N400, that is mismatch minus match. The second is the vowel N400. The third is the tone N400 in the tonal group. And the fourth is the lack of the tone N400 in the non-tonal group. As conclusions, we said that the N400 seems to hinder processing after lexicosemantic and grammatical errors in pictures. Well, it seems to show hindered processing, of course, within already 1 hour of acquisition. I forgot to mention this. So we saw these effects after 1 hour. However, only when everything was based on familiar sounds. We did not find any changes throughout the 2 days of acquisition. It seems as though transfer influences how learners initially process grammar and grammar errors, and that it does so relatively early. We saw an N400 rather than ELAN or P600, probably because these were pictures and they're inherently more semantic. As for the N1, we think that this shows that visual processing was delayed by task demands via top-down effects. The tone learners had 3 internalized categories, consonant, vowel, and tone, while the non-tonal learners only had 2 internalized categories, consonant and vowel. So for them, the visual perception was only top-down influenced by 2 features, while it was influenced by 3 features for the tonal learners, which then delayed their N1 response. But these are our interpretations. We would love to hear your interpretations and thoughts on this. If you have any comments or questions, please get back to us. There are contact information in the contact section of the booth. And of course, you can also use the chat function during the live poster session. We look forward to hearing back from you. And yes, thank you for stopping by and listening to this, and have a very good conference. Bye-bye.